Hello everyone. Today we are going to demonstrate how to set up a network addressable storage or NAS on Raspberry Pi. So you would need Raspberry Pi 2 or above, an 8 GB storage to install the Raspberry Pi core operating system, and an external storage. Here we're going to use a card reader with 64 GB of flash, and finally Ethernet connection. So let's get started.
Can you hear my voice?
Initiate the upgrade command. This should upgrade the distro in case any new updates are available. Else it should just exit. It will resume once the upgrade is completed. The upgrade is completed. Now we go ahead and install the Open Media Vault plugin. Once the upgrade is completed, we're going to install the Open Media Vault plugin. This is what gives Raspberry Pi the NAS capability. So I'm going to paste all this in the video description. This should easily take from 20 to 2 hours based on your Raspberry Pi, your SD card speed, and also your internet connectivity. I'm going to resume once the installation is completed. Your Raspberry Pi will go for a reboot once the Open Media Vault is installed. Once the Open Media Vault is installed, reboot the Raspberry Pi, and next you have to do is search for the IP address of the Raspberry Pi. My network is in 192.168.1.x series, so I'm going to run a scan in this network, and immediately you should find a Raspberry Pi as a name or a manufacturer. So we'll give it a couple of minutes before it finds out. As you can see, already I've found a device with Raspberry Pi, and the IP address is 192.168.1.100. So we're going to enter this in the browser, and that should pop up with the Open Media Vault login page. There has been a slight change. My IP address has changed from 192.168.1.100 to 101. So I'm going to type that and try to log in. The username is admin and the password is Open Media Vault. I'll be sharing all those details in the description. So once you log in, you will be greeted with the dashboard. And in the dashboard, you get to see the services that are active and the ones which are inactive. And you can see already the SMB service which we need is inactive, and the green indicates it's active. So what we are going to do first is, configure the SD card, mount an external hard drive, and then enable the service. You can see here in the SMB, its enable is unchecked or deactivated. We can enable it right now, but we'll do that later. First, we're going to go to the disk and check the active disks. As you can see, the internal storage of the Raspberry Pi, that's like 8 GB SD card, is accessible only. What I'm going to do now is mount an external disk, 30 GB disk, and scan for it. This should get a couple of seconds, and as you can see here, already the 30 GB SD card is accessible. I'm going to now go to user and add a user specifically for sharing. So I'm going to give it a name as Prashant. Comments and email doesn't matter. I'm going to give a password, and go ahead and save it. This should create user. I'm going to add into Pi and admin. Once I'm done, I'm going to go ahead and save it. This should create a user. As you can see, the configuration changed and we need to apply it, but let's for a moment, not do that. I'm going to go share and create a shared directory that is accessible over the network, but you can see it's not working. The reason being is that we need to even create a file system. Even though the disk is accessible, we need to create a file system. Let me quick erase, and then go ahead and try to create a file system. I'm going to show all the not to do things as well. In the file system, you can see our file system is not accessible. Only the internal 8 GB file system is accessible. I'm going to go ahead and create a new file system for the external hard drive, and it's accessible here. I'm going to give it a label as extern, and finally format an ext4 partition. This should take a couple of seconds, and once you're done, you will have a file system accessible. Thing with this is that even after formatting, it should take some time for initialize. As you can see, it's taking some time to initialize. I'll try to show that adding a shared won't work right now since the drive is still initializing. As you can see, it's not popping up the drive option. Let's wait for it to complete initialize. It's still in progress. This should take a couple of seconds. Should be done, and you can see it's already online, but the information is not accessible about the storage. I'll try to add, but same thing. This is reason being I have not rebooted or applied those changes. Once I apply, I'm going to reboot just in case. So yep, so I have rebooted, but I've skipped it for now. So now I can go to the shared folders, and as you can see, I'm going to give it a name, and yep, there it is. It's now accessible. So I'm going to give a full read write permission for admin, and I need to again apply. Let me skip it for now. I'm going to enable SMB, and as well as I'm going to add a share folder now. So there you go, the share folder which I created earlier. Now it's accessible for SMB. I'm going to save it, and once I'm done, I'm going to apply the changes. This would need an internal reboot for Raspberry Pi or just the library. And once I'm done, you can see it's already green, and I'm going to map drive in Windows. I'm going to write the path. You can refer the example powered by Windows. So mine is 191.168.1.1/share. As you can see, it's enabled. So let me go ahead and try to mount it. Why it gives error here is that the settings had not been applied correctly. So if I go and visit the dashboard, you can see that the SMB service is not active because I applied SMB service, enable, and share at the same time. So these are a couple of drawbacks of OpenMediaVault. So I'm going to enable now and go ahead and apply changes. This should take a couple of seconds, and after this I'm going to try to open the network. Here in the dashboard, you can see now the green indicator is active for the SMB. I'm going to go ahead and access a share, add a network location. I'm going to repeat the same process again. And now you can see that it's going to pop up with the password, username and password option. I'm going to enter the username and password I've created earlier, and there you go. Now I can access the Raspberry Pi share folder, and there you have it. I can go ahead and create a folder if I want to, or even copy paste a file. I'm going to create a sample folder now. What I can do is I can go on create a folder and rename it whatever I want to. There you go, it works. Now I'm going to copy some file just to show that it works as well. As I copy, I can go back to the dashboard and even browse through the file, or you can say like the storage details, the amount of storage available or storage consumed in the file system. There you have it. You can say it's already consumed some amount of storage because I'm copying a file to the SD card. That's pretty much it. That's how you set up NAS on Raspberry Pi.